sorry for the delay, folks. We had some technical issues, but it looks like we are up and running now, a little bit late. Hopefully you have stayed with me, and I think we're up and going now. We're about a minute into the show. Had to adjust a couple of things, and so we're not able to play the Raiders song coming into tonight. And maybe if I can log on real quick, we can get it at one of our commercial breaks. We can log on and go from there. But this Irish Bills Twist of Sports, this is week 4. We're going to do a recap of Navarre's 53-7 win over Choctaw last Friday night. And then we're going to move on to our offensive and defensive stats from that game, as well as going on with our season stats so far for the Raiders. Then we're going to flip on over to FloridHighSchoolFootball.com's rankings. Thanks, Tim Keene, for checking for me. I don't know what it was with the streaming, the bandwidth here, but we're up and running now. And thanks, Tim Keene, for checking for me to let me know that we are on the air live. And a little bit behind schedule, but we're going to go ahead and play a little bit of our song before we get on with our show. Once I get and we're going to go over to the Raiders song here and play just about a minute of it before, and then get gathered here.
Yeah, Navarre Raiders, stand up. Get on your feet. Mad child, baby, you know. Yeah. Who wanna rumble with the Raiders? Let's go, yeah. Let's go. Navarre Raiders, get up. Let's go. You don't wanna rumble with the Raiders. You don't wanna rumble with the Raiders. Yes. You wanna rumble with the Raiders. Come on. You don't wanna rumble with the Raiders. You don't wanna rumble with the Raiders. Yes. You wanna rumble with the Raiders. Come on. Hey, yo, it's lights out whenever they turn the lights on. Enough with the talking, baby boy, the fight's on. You wanna rumble with the Raiders? Listen, it's nothing, baby, we running through you haters. And you can hate us, cause we keep chips on our shoulder. You know why we the best, but now we gotta show you. Listen, better watch how you approach us. Y'all bugs to us and we'll stump you cockroaches. Simple and plain, quit is what you should really do. Put your game face on, it's about to get physical. This here's a game of strength, patience, determination. And you can never win if you lacking the motivation. And now you heard it from the source. Losing is not an option, you can hear it in our voice. We only play this game to win, and we gon' put it on the line every time and every chance we get. Cause
you don't want to rumble with the Raiders. That's right. And 53-7 winners over Choctaw on the road last week. Their 16th straight regular season road victory for Navarre. After we get to our rankings, we're going to go on and move to our Super 7 Power Rankings and our Star of the Week. And then we're going to go over this week's schedule. Some good games coming up this Friday night. Then we'll have our high school and top 25 college picks. Plus, we'll throw in a couple extra picks along the way of local teams and area teams. And then we'll finish it up with Where Are They Now? Former Navarre Raiders. And on to our Gulf South Conference schedule. Results from last week and schedule coming up this week. And if you get a chance, head out to my Irish Bills Twist on Sports on Facebook group page. It has a list of all of our Raiders and where they're our former Raiders and where they're playing now. And if you don't see somebody that you know that is playing, please drop a message into my group page and let me know, and I'll add them to the list, and I'll start following them and their games that they have coming up. But this Irish Bills Twist on Sports, and let's get right into it. And now we're going to go over the recap. Navarre 53-7 over Choctaw on the road. The scoring got started at the 5:05 mark with a 28-yard Kevin Tache field goal. Navarre up 3-0. At 2:42, the Raiders would Marlon Courtney would find Jaden Antonio for a 77-yard touchdown strike. Tache's kick is good, and the Raiders up 10-0. At the 24.3-second mark, this time a 69-yard pass from Courtney to Quinn Caballero. Tache is good, and the Raiders had themselves a 17-0 lead after one. We head to the second quarter. The Raiders defense got on the board. Actually, their special teams. A safety by Matthew Downey as he blocked the punt out of the end zone. and the Raiders' lead had increased to 19-0. Josh Carter would add another touchdown at the 9:27 mark. Raiders up 26-0. The Choctaw would finally get on the board. A 62-yard pass from Jimmy Hart to Detarian Grant. Tom Keene's kick is good, and the Raiders were up 26-7. Dante Wright would finish out the scoring in the first half, the 40-yard run. The kick was no good, and the Raiders went to the half, 32-7 at the half. In the third quarter, 2 touchdowns for the Raiders, a 1-yard run from Chris Williams and a 1-yard run from Jabari Mitchell. Tace's kick was good on both of them, and we head to the fourth quarter with a 46-7 lead. The Raiders would add another touchdown with 2:56 to go with the running clock in the fourth quarter, and Antonio would score his second touchdown of the night from 59 yards out. And Tace would finish off the game with a 53-7 victory for Navarre. Our stats from last Friday night's game: Marlon Courtney led the Raiders 7 of 11 for 210 yards and 2 scores. The Raider rushing attack, 36 carries, 229 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Jaden Antonio, 5 carries for 81 yards and a score. Joshua Carter, 9 carries for 54 yards and a score. Garen Finley, 1 carry for 3 yards. Danny Leposki, 1 carry for 1. Dante Wright, 2 carries for 68 yards and a score. Chris Williams, 11 carries for 33 yards and a touchdown. Jabari Mitchell would score on his only carry from 1 yard out. Evan Gorley, 1 carry for no yards. For the Raiders receiving corps, 7 receptions. Caballero with 2 for 89 yards and a score. Jaden Antonio with 1 for 77 yards and a score. Dante Wright with 3 receptions for 36 yards. And with that first catch on the night, he would break Jordan Leggett's all-time receiving record for a career as a Navarre Raider. So congratulations go out to Dante. And that's still only in game 4, so he has more yardage to add on to that total. And Noah Melendez would add 1 reception for 9 yards. The Raiders' special teams were led by Dante Wright, 2 kickoff returns for 84 yards, 2 punt returns for 32 yards for 116 total yards of return yardage for Dante. Kevin Tate, 6 of 7 on extra points, 1 of 2 on field goals from 28, and he had 9 kickoffs on the night. Tyler England and Jacoby Wright would share the punting duties on the night, 1 each. 44 yards for England and 34 yards for Jacoby Smith on their only punts. And that recaps the special teams. And let's go over to the defense from that game. They're led by Joshua Carter and Xavier Thomas with 7 tackles each. Josh with 1 sack, Xavier with 1 fumble recovery. And the Raiders were led with 3 tackles for loss each by Jordan Jefferson and Alex Gilchrist. Fumble recoveries from Xavier Thomas and Alex Gilchrist. You block kicked, you block punt for Matthew Downey. 3 quarterback hurries for Mitchell Hunt. And 6 big hits by Matthew Downey. The Raiders would limit the Choctaw Indians to 43 yards on 28 carries, 1.5 per carry. 5 of 13 passing for 77 yards. Third down conversions, 1 for 11 and 0 for 1 on fourth down conversions for 120 yards. Your Ian Lockwood player of the game from Navarre is Jaden Antonio. Your offensive player of the game, Marlon Courtney. Your defensive player of the game, Xavier Thomas. And your special teams players of the game, Kevin Tate and Dante Wright. Let's go over our seasonal stats now for the Raiders. And we're going to start out with the quarterbacks. On the season, 40 of 64. Marlon Courtney, he's actually leading the area with 694 yards passing, 5 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. Chris Williams leading the way on the ground, 54 rushes for 275 yards and 3 scores. Josh Carter with 30 for 170 and 5 scores. Jaden Antonio, 22 for 137 and 3 scores. And Dante Wright with 11 carries for 100 yards, a 9.1 average, and 5 scores. And Courtney and Mitchell have pitched in a touchdown each. The Raiders, 139 carries, 796 yards on the ground, 5.7 per carry, 18 touchdowns, and only 1 turnover. Receiving corps led by Quinn Caballero is 8 catches for 254 yards. He's averaging 31.8 per catch, 3 touchdowns on the season, which leads the Raiders. Dante Wright with 14 catches for 216 yards, a 15.4 average and 2 catches. Tyler England, 13 for 157, he averaging 12.1 per catch. And Jaden Antonio, 2 for 79, and the other Raider touchdown. Gomez, Finley, Carter, Melendez, and Leposki each with 1 catch. 42 receptions on the season for the Raiders for 780 yards and 6 touchdowns. England with 5 punts on the season, averaging 38 per punt. Smith with 3, averaging 33.3. England with 2 inside the 20, and Smith with 1 inside the 20 for the Raiders. In the kicking game for the Raiders, Kevin Tate's 11 of 12 on extra points, 1 of 3 on field goals. He has 21 kickoffs where he's averaging 46.1. Dante Wright with 5 of 8 on extra points, and Preston Penton 3 of 4. In the scoring department, Dante Wright leading the team with 47 points on 5 TD rushes, 2 receptions, and 5 extra points. Josh Carter with 32 points on 5 rushing touchdowns and a 2-point conversion. 24 points on 4 touchdowns for Antonio. 3 touchdowns each for Caballero and Chris Williams, 18 points. 14 points for Kevin Tate on 11 of 12 extra points and 1 of 3 field goals. Jabari Mitchell with 2 touchdowns for 12. Courtney Gorley with a touchdown each, and Penton with 3 extra points, and Matthew Downey with the safety last week for 2. So 182 points for the Raiders, averaging 45.5, and it's broken down each quarter. They have outscored their opponents in the first quarter 43-21. Same in the second quarter, 43-21. In the third quarter, they have yet to give up a point in the third quarter. They've outscored their opponents 41-0. And in the fourth quarter, 49-19, and overtime, 6-0. So the Raiders 45.5 per game, and they're giving up 15.3. 17 of 35 on the third down conversions, 48%. Fourth down conversions, 4 of 5, 80%, and they're plus 3 in the turnover differential. 199 yards per game on the ground, 195 through the air for 394 yards per game for the Navarre offense. They're led on defense on the season by Josh Carter and Xavier Thomas, both with 24 total points for tackles. Carter with 17 tackles. Solo tackles is your leader. Your leader in assisted tackles is Xavier Thomas with 9. Your interceptions, Josh Carter, Evan Gorley, and Gabe Davis, each with 1. Caused fumbles, Jefferson and Gilchrist with 1. 5 different players with a fumble recovery. 2 sacks, your team leader, Alex Gilchrist. Your tackles for loss leader, Jordan Jefferson with 11. Block kicks, Downey and Gorley with 1 each. Quarterback hurries are led by Mitchell Hunt with 4. And your big hits leader is Jordan Jefferson with 16 through the first 4 games. On this season, the Raiders have given up 421 yards on the ground on 120 carries, 105.25 yards per game, 3.5 per carry. Passing 25 of 59, 387 yards, only 96.75 per game, 15.5 per completion. Third down conversions, quite impressive 7 of 43 for 16.3%. Fourth down conversions, 3 of 5. So the Raiders have given up 808 yards per game. Actually, per the season, 202 per game. There's your statistics, and it's time to move on to the next facet of our show, which is our Florida High School football rankings. And let's start in Class 8A, led on top by Deerfield Beach, Wekiva, Vero Beach, South Dade, Columbus, Atlantic, Osceola, Plantation, and Miami Southridge and Palmetto. In Class 7A, St. Thomas Aquinas, Columbia, Lakeland, Tampa Bay Tech, Plant, Dwyer, Robert E. Lee, Venice, Forest Hill, and Edgewater. These are the Florida High School Football.com rankings. My good friend Josh Wilson puts this all together. And Class 6A, which we're very well interested, as we have 12 6A teams here in the Panhandle. It's led at number 1, Miami Carroll City. Miami Central comes in at number 2, Vanguard at 3, Armwood at 4, Escambia out of Pensacola at 5. Navarre comes in at number 6, Miami Northwestern at 7, Crestview at 8, Fort Myers at 9, Naples at 10. And Pine Forest, who the Raiders will be facing this Friday night, comes in at number 13. In Class 5A, Trinity Christian Jacksonville, American Heritage Plantation, Godby out of Tallahassee, Rockledge, Cardinal Gibbons, Hardy, Zephyr Hills, Jesuit out of Tampa, Mosley out of Panama City comes in at number 9 as they remain undefeated on the season at 4-0. And Baker County as number 10. In Class 4A, University School out of Fort Lauderdale, Rains out of Jacksonville, Cocoa, Booker T. Washington, and West Nassau. In Class 3A, Chaminade Madonna out of Hollywood, Florida, Clearwater Central Catholic, American Heritage Delray, Florida High out of Tallahassee, and Kings Academy out of West Palm Beach. In Class 2A, University Christian out of Jacksonville, Victory Christian out of Lakeland, Champagnat out of Hialeah. I think they'll be onward to the Panhandle this Friday night, where they'll be facing off at Niceville. Foundation Academy comes in at number 4, Steffner Christian in at number 5. And in Class 1A, Madison County, Pahokee, Port St. Joe, Baker, and Bluntstown are your Class 1A. So it's time for Irish Bill's Twist on Sports first commercial break. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Sorry for the delay. We had some technical issues coming online tonight. But wherever you're at, I hope you're still out there and enjoying the show. We're going to head out for commercial break, and we'll be right back with Irish Bill's Twist on Sports.
Craig Culver of Culvers. Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culvers, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Navarre Raider Sports is brought to you by Ursula Householder of Caldwell Banker Residential Real Estate, your local real estate connection. With Ursula, you've got a positive, helpful partner for buying or selling a home. Ursula can help with all of your real estate needs, whether in the Florida Panhandle or around the world. Her 15 years experience in real estate will work for you with innovative marketing strategies. Thinking about selling your home? Call Ursula for a free market analysis and see if you qualify for one of the incentive programs. Call or text 850-642-5711. Email ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Go Raiders! Your fans are behind you at the field or watching at home. Are you a friend of JockJive on Facebook? Do you follow us on Twitter? Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you aren't, don't, and haven't, please do. We are growing exponentially and want you to keep up with us. Plus, we want to stay in touch with you. So go to the homepage of JockJive.com to like us, follow us, and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll jock and roll together.
One company is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Sounds like a big number, doesn't it? Not to express employment professionals seeking a skilled labor position or administrative work. Maybe you're an executive looking for a career that fits. Good morning, everyone. We take pride in connecting the right people with the right company. Express Employment Professionals is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Let us help. We'll open doors for you. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
Lux Solar Salon and Spa is an Aveda salon, connecting beauty, environment, and well-being. The salon is located in Navarre off Highway 98 at Ortega. The team at Lux Solis specializes in hair design, color, botanical hair therapy, styling, skincare, makeup, facials, body treatments, and massage therapy. Spa packages are available for a fabulous Aveda experience. Bridal services are also available with advance notice. Aveda products are cruelty-free, and nothing is ever tested on animals. Lux Solis schedules appointments 6 days a week. Find us on Facebook at Lux Solar Salon and Spa. Call 939-9229. University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322. Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on JockJive.com. JockJive.com. We are literally taking the world by storm. Last year, more than 3,000 cities worldwide turned into our coverage of football, baseball, softball, basketball, volleyball. From T-ball to the NCAA Division I athletics, JockJive crews have traveled this nation to provide you the finest in sports coverage. So the next time you need the spotlight glaring on your sports venture, think JockJive.com. Maybe not the only internet sports channel, but the best one.
It always helps when you turn the volume back up. Doing my picks on the go here as I had yet to make my picks, and I'm going down through this. And we may hold off on the college. We do have the high school picks coming up, but we'll get to those in just a moment. It's kind of been a little bit of a messy seating. We're about 40 minutes late coming on the air. And we'll go over our college picks here in just a minute. We're going to move on to our Super 7 Power Rankings. And then we'll give you, before we do that, we're going to give you the scores from last Friday night if you didn't catch them. Navarre with 53-7 over Choctaw. Crestview over Broward, 70-0. Niceville over Holmes County, Central Mississippi, 35-7. Gulf Breeze gets beat on the road to Pine Forest, 27-15. Catholic 17-13 over Milton. Scambia 49-0 over West Park. Pensacola over Tate 21-7. Pace over Washington 58-33. McCullough over Fort Walton 38-7. Arnold 37, Bay 21. Mosley 13, West Florida 10. Liberty County 6, Franklin County 0. Jefferson County 47, Lafayette 28. Baker 36, Rutherford 14. Sneeze 27 and Bozeman 7. Vernon 54-0 over Chipley. Jay over Weewa 30-22. Bluntstown over Northview 35-19. Graceville 42, Holmes County 21. Cottondale 38, Lighthouse Christian Academy 0. FAMU 52, North Bay Haven 6. Florida High 28, Childs 24. Freeport 27, Walton 6. Rickards 55, Gadsden County 32. South Walton 31 and Mariana 25, and Fort White 27, Taylor County 12. There's all your scores from last week, and we're going to go over the schedule coming up this week. Pine Forest will be at Navarre. Gulf Breeze will be at Washington, Choctaw at Pace, Crestview at West Florida, Fort Walton Beach at Mosley, Champaign Catholic at Niceville, Tate at Milton, Childs at Bay, Catholic at Pensacola, Florida High at Santa Fe, Gadsden County at Wakulla, Mariana at Walton, Jefferson County at FAMU, Weewa at North Bay Haven, Port St. Joe at Rutherford, Snook Academy, Alabama at South Walton, Holmes County at Northview, Escambia County at Jay, Bluntstown at Liberty County, Freeport at Graceville, Rocky Bayou at Baker, Chipley at Cottondale, Franklin County at Sneads, and wind it up with Blue Ridge, South Carolina at Vernon to finish off the schedule for this week. We'll have the picks coming up, but before we get to those picks, we are going to go over Irish Bills Super 7 Panhandle Pro rankings after week 4. The top 2 teams stayed the same. Navarre stays at the top as Scambia comes in at number 2. This is where we had changes. Crestview moved up to number 3. Pine Forest, with their impressive win over Gulf Breeze, moves up to number 4. Mosley 5. Gulf Breeze drops to 6 on their loss, and back into the top 7, Niceville, as they beat Holmes County. So your top 7, Navarre, Escambia, Crestview, Pine Forest, Mosley, Gulf Breeze, and Niceville. Your honorable mentions: Pace, Arnold, Pensacola, West Florida, and Baker. My star of the week comes from Bluntstown High, and we are going defense side of the ball this time. Bluntstown High, he's actually a two-way player, but mostly on defense. Bluntstown High's linebacker, Kentrell Lawson, he registered 19 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a sack, and he also carried 5 times for 95 yards and a touchdown in a 35-19 win over Northview. So congratulations goes out to Bluntstown linebacker Kentrell Lawson. So I got a little itch going on tonight. And I am wearing my Miles College colors. This is where my son plays. Brady Hamill, he plays for the Miles College Golden Bears. They're bear down. And I'm wearing my new Miles College hat. And enough said on that. Let's move on to our other noteworthy performances. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Navarre's Marlon Courtney, 7 of 11 for 211 yards and 2 scores. Pace's Casey Linke, 6 of 13, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had 12 carries for 54 yards. Niceville's Will Koch, 10 of 12 for 201 yards and 3 scores, and he also pitched in a rushing TD. Vernon's Devion Bush, 9 of 18, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, 7 carries for 37 yards. Pine Forest's Ladarius Clardy, 5 of 9 for 145 and 2 touchdowns. He also pitched in 6 carries for 19 yards. Tate's Hunter Riggin, 23 carries for 135 yards and a score, 63 yards passing as well. Rutherford's Reginald Tubbs, 12 of 20, 125 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Arnold's Cade Lehman, he carried the ball 18 times for 157 yards and a score, and he tossed in 51 yards passing as well. What a night for the running backs. We had 20 running backs rush for over 100 yards. One team had 2 guys that rushed for over 100 yards. And what a night for the running backs last Friday night. As you notice, when I get to the wide receivers, we only have 2. So it was pretty much ground chuck last Friday night in the Panhandle of Florida. At running back, Washington's Julian Robinson led the way, 28 carries, 285 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Baker's Junior McLaughlin, 22 carries, 227 yards, and 3 TDs. Gaston County's Coleon Rich, 14 carries, 220 yards. Gulf Breeze Tyler Dittmer crushed the 200-yard mark once again at 201 yards on 28 carries and 2 scores. Pace's Damian Bivens, 17 carries, 199 yards, 3 touchdowns. And he also pitched in 1 of 1 passing for 6 yards and a score. James Eddings, 13 carries, 186 yards and 4 scores. Cottondale's Isaac Brinsfield, 18 carries, 186 yards, 2 TDs. Also pitched in 3 2-point conversions. Pine Forest's Anwar Lewis, another solid game, 20 carries, 183 yards, 2 TDs. Needs Calvin Stringer, 18 carries, 161 yards and 2 scores. Cottondale's Jalen Redding, 30 carries, 157 yards, a TD, and a 2-point conversion. West Florida's Jaheim Simmons, 34 carries, 153 yards. Niceville's TJ Pope, 149 yards and only 10 carries and a score. Arnold's Jarian Hardrick, 27 carries, 146 yards and a TD. Catholic's Wayman Jordan, only a freshman. He's one of the teams that they had 200-yard carriers, 18 carries, 143 yards and 2 scores. Bluntstown's Trevin Smith, 13 carries, 128 yards, a TD. And he also pitched in 14 tackles, a half a tackle for loss, and 2 interceptions on defense. Northview's Trent Peebles, 18 carries, 119 yards. Weewa's Tyreek Thomas, 23 carries, 111 yards, and a TD. Rutherford's James Caldwell, 13 carries for 109 yards. Washington's DeMarca Palmer Jr., 5 carries, 102 yards. And Catholic's Jacoby Jackson, 11 carries, 100 yards. 20 in all, over 100 yards Thursday and Friday night. And let's move over the wide receivers. Only 2 to meet my criteria, which is 85-plus yards receiving. Caleb Buckner from Pace, 4 receptions for 150 yards and a TD. And Navarre's Quinn Caballero, 2 receptions for 89 yards and a score. Over the defensive side of the ball, Colton Bennett from Pace. He paced Pace on defense with 19 tackles. Bloodstown's Zeb Kelly, 16 tackles and a half a tackle for loss. Tate's Ethan Labardino, 16 tackles and a tackle for loss. Pace's Aaron Holland pitched in 14 tackles and a fumble recovery. Robert Wright from Pace, 14 tackles and 2 blocked field goals. Baker's Trey Clements, 13 tackles, a tackle for loss. Bozeman's Nick O'Brien with 13 tackles and a caused fumble. Baker's Joseph Brunson, the son of head coach Brunson out there at Baker, 13 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. Arnold's Nick Caldwell, 12 tackles and a tackle for loss. Choctaw's Nathan Lewis with 12 tackles and a tackle for loss. Pine Forest's Angelo Kraft with 11 tackles. Gulf Breeze Carl Taylor with 11 tackles and a caused fumble. Tate's Devin Hinton, 11 tackles. West Florida's Simeon Price with 11 tackles as well as Pine Forest Mitrez Rawls and Bay's Briley Nolette with 11 tackles each. Arnold's Terry Byers with 11 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a sack. Baker's Kenneth Williams with 10 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a quarterback hurry. Rutherford's Cameron Knapp with 10 tackles and a tackle for loss. Cottondale's Nate Kelly with 10. Bloodstown's Trent Peacock with 10. Tate's Tanner Clifton with 10 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and a caused fumble. And Pine Forest Tahir McCall, 10 tackles, 4 sacks, and 3 quarterback hurries. Wow. Some great defensive play last week in the Panhandle. On to the special teams, where Dante Wright's 2 kickoff returns for 84 yards and 2 punt returns for 32 total, 116 total return yardage last week for Navarre. And a Pace's J.C. Preacher with 2 kickoff returns for 103 yards. Your kickers and punters, Pace's Blake Bullock, 7 of 8 on extra points, 1 of 2 on field goals, as long of 37. He had 5 touchbacks on his 8 kickoffs. Navarre's Kevin Tate, 6 of 7, and he had 1 touchback on the night and 1 of 2 of field goals, as long from 28. Niceville's Connor McClay, 5 for 5 on extra points. Same with Arnold's Javier Ilias. Escambia's Ronnie Perez, 5 of 6. Pine Forest's Bryce Alderman, 3 punts. He averaged 41.7. And Bay's Tanner Reese, 3 for 3 on extra points, 6 punts, and he averaged 47 yards per punt, and he had 1 inside the 20. We're going to go ahead and take another commercial break, and we'll come back with Irish Bills and Joe Settle's picks here for this week's coming games, and we'll talk about how we did last week on Irish Bills Twist on Sports. We'll be right back, folks, after this break.
Craig Culver of Culvers.
Before farm to table, before field to fork, there was just good, wholesome food. Grown by America's farm families, prepared fresh at Culvers, and always served with a smile. We still cook every Butterburger to order using fresh 100% Midwest beef and craft our frozen custard right in the restaurant using family farm fresh dairy. So thank you, farmers. Welcome to Delicious.
Navarre Raider Sports is brought to you by Ursula Householder of Coldwell Banker Residential Real Estate, your local real estate connection. With Ursula, you've got a positive, helpful partner for buying or selling a home. Ursula can help with all of your real estate needs, whether in the Florida Panhandle or around the world. Her 15 years experience in real estate will work for you with innovative marketing strategies. Thinking about selling your home? Call Ursula for a free market analysis and see if you qualify for one of the incentive programs. Call or text 850-642-5711. Email ursula.householder@floridamoves.com or go to householderhomes.com. Go Raiders! Your fans are behind you at the field or watching at home. Are you a friend of JockJive on Facebook? Do you follow us on Twitter? Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? If you aren't, don't, and haven't, please do. We are growing exponentially and want you to keep up with us. Plus, we want to stay in touch with you. So go to the homepage of JockJive.com to like us, follow us, and subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll jock and roll together.
One company is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Sounds like a big number, doesn't it? Not to express employment professionals seeking a skilled labor position or administrative work. Maybe you're an executive looking for a career that fits. Good morning, everyone. We take pride in connecting the right people with the right company. Express Employment Professionals is on a mission to put 1 million people to work each year. Let us help. We'll open doors for you. Go to expresspros.com to find a location near you.
Lux Solar Salon and Spa is an Aveda salon, connecting beauty, environment, and well-being. The salon is located in Navarre off Highway 98 at Ortega. The team at Lux Solis specializes in hair design, color, botanical hair therapy, styling, skincare, makeup, facials, body treatments, and massage therapy. Spa packages are available for a fabulous Aveda experience. Bridal services are also available with advance notice. Aveda products are cruelty-free, and nothing is ever tested on animals. Lux Solis schedules appointments 6 days a week. Find us on Facebook at Lux Solis Salon and Spa. Call 939-9229. University Lending Group, located in Harvest Village, is Navarre's local mortgage lender. If buying, selling, or building a dream home is in your future, you need to contact University Lending Group. Jennifer Gomes and Stacy Wright are the loan specialists who have the experience to take you step by step to make your buying, building, or selling experience smooth. See University at 752 Navarre Parkway, Suite 56, or call 850-396-0322. Great teams have great support. The Navarre Raiders have one of the best support organizations, the Navarre Raider Quarterback Club. All the members see to it that the Raiders have all available necessities to keep the Raiders on track, whether it's seeing to it they are properly fed, have good transportation, or making sure that all Raider fans can hear all the exciting Navarre Raider football action. The Navarre Raider Quarterback Club is there to make it happen. Thanks, Navarre Raider Quarterback Club, for your support of your winning Navarre Raiders on JockJive.com.
Welcome back to Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. We're here after week 4. This is our 4th show for the 2018 campaign. And it's time for that segment where we have already gone over our Super 7 Power Rankings and our Star of the Week. We've gone over this week's schedule as well. And it's time to go over our picks from last week. We're going to have our records for high school and college. And I have to say, Irish Bill took both the college and the high school picks last week. Our records last week, I had it by 3 games. I went 19-6 on my high school picks last week. Mike comes in at 16-9. And Joe kind of had a little bit of a setback last week as he went 14-11. On the season, I have opened up a 5-game advantage on Mike of 67-28, 70.5%. Mike comes in at 62 and 33 at 65.1. And Joe at 29 and 18, he is at 61.7. On our college picks from last weekend, Mike and I tied at 16 and 4. Joe comes in at 15 and 5. On his season, Mike and I are tied at 57 and 10. And quite an impressive 85.1 percentage. Joe comes in at 37 and 8. After Joe went the first week 22 and 3. Quite impressive for Joe in his first week, and 82.2% on the season. Now it's time to get Joe and I's picks for this week's high school games, and then we'll move on to the college. Still waiting on Mike. Hopefully Mike will get those into me by tomorrow before the games on Friday night. Both of us are going with Navarre at home over Pine Forest. Both going with Gulf Breeze over Washington on the road. Pace at home over Choctaw. Both of us going with Pace. Crestview on the road at West Florida. Both of us going with the Bulldogs on the road. Mosley hosting Fort Walton Beach, and we go with the Dolphins of Mosley High. Niceville at home against Champagnat Catholic. Then we're going with Niceville on the road to improve to 4-1. Tate at Milton. Joe is going with Tate. I'm going with Milton at home. Childs at Bay. Bay still at home. They still have not won a game this year, and they won't win this one either, as Joe and I both take a Childs. Catholic at Pensacola. Joe's going with Catholic. I'm going with Pensacola. Florida High at Santa Fe. We're both going with the Florida High team. Gadsden County at Wakulla. We're both going with the War Eagles at home. Tough to play over there in Crawfordville. Mariana at Walton. Joe's going with Walton, the home team. I'm going with Mariana on the road. Weewa at North Bay Haven. Weewa looks to get their third on the win on the season, and we're both going with the Gators of Weewa. Jefferson County at FAMU. We're both going with FAMU. Port St. Joe at Rutherford. Rutherford struggling this year, and Port St. Joe will make them struggle a little bit more this week, as Joe and I both go with the Tiger Sharks. South Walton at home over Snook Academy. Northview at home against Holmes County. We're taking Northview at home, the Chiefs. Escambia County, Alabama at Jay. We're both going with the road team. In fact, let me double check that, make sure I think I got Joe's pick here correctly as I'm looking at his picks. Yep, both going with Escambia County. Bluntstown on the road at Liberty County, both going with the Tigers of Bluntstown High. Freeport on the road at Graceville, both going with Freeport. Rocky Bayou 2-1 at Baker 3-0. And we're going with the home team. Not very close in that one, as Baker is 8-0 all-time against Rocky Bayou. Chipley at Cottondale. Joe going with the road team. I'm going with the home team, Cottondale. The Yellow Jackets, if I remember right. Franklin County at Sneeds. We're both going with Sneeds. And Blue Ridge, South Carolina at Vernon. And we're both, actually, Vernon is the Yellow Jackets. And trying to remember Cottondale's nickname. I should know that off the top of my head. I'm sorry about that. But those are your picks for the high school. Now let's move on over to our college picks this week. And we have a couple of Friday night games. FAU at number 16 UCF. We're both going with the Knights there. Number 10 Penn State at Illinois. Both going with the Nittany Lions on the road. Number 2 Georgia at Missouri. Both going with the Bulldogs. Number 8 Notre Dame at Wake Forest. If they get that game played this week, as they still are feeling the effects of Hurricane Florence from this past week. We're both going with Notre Dame on the road. Michigan over Nebraska rather easily at home for both of us. Number 23 Boston College at Purdue. The Eagles go on the road and knock off Purdue for both of us. Texas A&M, number 22. A really good season so far, but they're traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on the. I tell you, this Bama team is like any other team this year. I know it's really hard for me to say because I refuse to say that RTR. You know what that is, but I can't pick against Bama on this season so far. It may go throughout the whole season, but we're both going with Bama at home. Clemson on the road at Georgia Tech. We're both going with the Tigers. Ohio State, number 4, hosting Tulane, the future school of Navarre's Dante Wright, but it's all Ohio State this week for both of us. Kansas State at number 12, West Virginia. We're both going with West Virginia. Number 13, Virginia Tech at Old Dominion. We're going with Virginia Tech on the road. Number 21, Miami hosting FIU. Both going with the home team. Number 17, TCU at Texas. Despite the impressive win over USC last week, Texas, that's TCU on the road for both of us. McNeese State at BYU. Number 25, BYU, fresh off a 24-21 victory over then number 6, Wisconsin. We're both going with BYU. Army at number 5, Oklahoma. Do I need to say? Louisiana Tech at number 6, LSU. Same. Mississippi State at Kentucky. Number 14, Mississippi State. Both of us going with Mississippi State over Kentucky. Texas Tech at number 15, Oklahoma State. Both of us going with OSU. Arkansas at number 9, Auburn, which might feature the start of redshirt freshman Nick Brahms from Navarre for Auburn at center. Number 24, Michigan State at Indiana. Both going with Sparty on the road. Number 7, Stanford at number 20, Oregon. Joe's going with Oregon. I'm going with the Cardinal of Stanford. A tough place to play for anyone at Iowa, but we're both going with number 18, Wisconsin, in a bounce-back game for the Badgers on the road. Both of us going with number 10, Washington over Arizona State, and Florida State over Northern Illinois. Should be a close game, but both of us going with Florida State. Florida on the road at Rocky Top, Tennessee. Both of us going with the Gators on the road. And at Troy, we're throwing Troy in there this week after they knocked off Nebraska in Lincoln last week. And we're going on the road at Louisiana Monroe and coming home with the victory. So there's your picks, high school and college coming up this week. And now it's time to move on after I take a quick break here. Just had to take a quick break, get my voice back here. And now we're going to move on to our former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? Jordan Leggett with the Jets. They're 1-1 this season. He did not play in a 20-12 loss this past week to the Miami Dolphins. They play tomorrow night in Cleveland. 8:20 kickoff tomorrow night Eastern time. No stats on the season yet for Jordan. Middle Tennessee State's wide receiver Gatlin Casey's a graduate transfer. Had his first catch for Middle Tennessee State this past weekend at Georgia, but they fell 49-7. One catch for 4 yards. Next up for them, they have a week off this week and then on to a home game against FAU at 6 p.m. next Saturday on the 29th. Huntingdon College was idle this past week. They're 0-1 on the season. And you have offensive lineman Chris Herron, defensive lineman Ryan Struck. Sage Chambers out with, he's redshirted this year with a torn labrum. He has had surgery and is recovering. Huntingdon College offensive lineman Daryl Hickson also getting a start. So 2 Raiders on the offensive line starting for Huntingdon. And Huntingdon College long snapper Garrett Schluter on the team as well as Huntingdon College running back Chandler Cooper. They're off this week. And next up will be a home game. Actually, they had an open week last week. This week they're at home to Thomas More, a 1 p.m. kickoff in Montgomery. Kennesaw State defensive end Kyle Aerosmith. He had a solo tackle on a 62-13 win over Alabama State. They are 2-1 on the season. Next up, they'll be hosting Clark Atlanta. Should be an easy game for Kennesaw State and the Owls in that one at 6 p.m. kickoff on Saturday night. For the season, Kyle with 2 solo tackles. Trinity Bible College wide receiver Alex Watley. They're 0-3 on the season. And I almost don't even want to announce the score, but I'm going to anyways. As Alex had 1 reception for 8 yards and 2 kickoff returns for 29 yards. And right, folks, in an 80-6 loss to Indiana Wesleyan. 80-6. That's a long game. As they went on the road. Then they had to go back home after that. So next up for them this Saturday at 2 p.m. Kickoff as they face Lewis and Clark. Hopefully they will find some more offense as they face Lewis and Clark. And season stats, 3 receptions, 28 yards, 2 kickoff returns for 29 yards for Trinity Bible College wide receiver Alex Watley. An open week for Birmingham Southern as they will for Dillon, Maine. They're 2-0 on the season. They open up with wins against LaGrange and Huntingdon. This week they'll be hosting Rhodes College, a 1 p.m. kickoff in Birmingham. The season stats for Dillon: 5 tackles, 4 solos, assists, and he also had an interception that he returned for 25 yards. Texas Tech defensive back Tommy Leggett, he's a redshirt sophomore. They're 2-1 on the season. Are fresh off a 63-49 win over Houston, in which he had 2 solo tackles. On the season, 6 total tackles, 4 solos, 2 assists. And next up for them, they'll be on the road at Oklahoma State, a 6 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday night. Let's move over to page 2. 3 catches for Quentin Randolph for the University of West Florida, 2-1 on the season. And they had a 51-7 win over Shorter University last week. And next they'll be on the road this Saturday, a 7 p.m. kickoff over at Mississippi College. On the season, 8 receptions for 132 yards, which is about 15.25 per catch. Miles College kicker Brady Hamill, they lost a tough one this past week, 21-19, as Fort Valley State scored in the last 21 seconds of the game. Brady pitched in 3 kickoffs and an extra point in the 21-19 loss. Next up, as they will be heading to Chicago to play at Soldier Field, a 3:30 kickoff. And Brady, if you don't know, is a Bears fan, as am I and as my dad. And it will be my dad and I's first ever trip to Soldier Field. And we get to watch Brady play for Miles College this Saturday in Chicago. They'll be playing Morehouse College. Morehouse College will be the home team, as it was their game originally before they moved it to Chicago. On the season, Brady has 8 kickoffs, just under 50-yard average, and he's got 2 extra points. And on the season for Miles College. Maryville College linebacker Bo Herring, their game was moved to tomorrow from last Saturday, as they'll be at Washington and Lee, a 1 p.m. kickoff due to Hurricane Florence. On the season for Bo, 5 tackles, 2 solos, and 3 assists. University of North Carolina running back Michael Carter, I had a chat with him last night on Twitter, and he'll be back this week as he has recovered and has been cleared from his broken hand. They're 0-2 on the season. Their game was canceled this past Saturday due to Hurricane Florence. They'll be up this Saturday at home against Pittsburgh. And Dwayne is the older brother of Michael. Michael will be on the field for a 12:20 kickoff there against Pittsburgh. He has been cleared to play, and he's anxious to get back out on the field. Auburn University offensive lineman Nick Brahms, they're 2-1 on the season. He did not play in a 22-21 tough loss to LSU this past weekend at home. Next up for them against Arkansas, where it looks like Nick may get the start this week. That's a 7:30 kickoff on Saturday night. Sam Houston State's wide receiver Tevin Stevenson had his first college catch this past weekend for 4 yards in a 24-23 loss to North Dakota. And they are 2-1. Actually, they are 1-1 on the season. Next up for them, they're at number 18, Nichols, this Saturday at 3 p.m. Florida Tech's defensive back Tyson Brown, they're 3-0 on the season. He did not play in a 30-12 win over Delta State. Next up for them, another Gulf South Conference game at West Georgia, 2 p.m. kickoff this Saturday. No stats on the season for Tyson. College of Sequoia's defensive lineman Josh Doxey, he's a freshman. He's being redshirted this year. They're 1-2 on the season as they beat, I'm going to try and pronounce this name. I'll spell it out for you first. Siskious. Siskious. They beat Siskious. I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. 35-27. Next up for them this Saturday at 1 p.m. kickoff Pacific time at Santa Rosa. Ave Maria University offensive lineman Lamarcus Smith, he's a sophomore. They're 1-2. He started on the offensive line in 35-34 loss to Cumberland, Tennessee. Next up at number 7 Reinhardt at 1:30 this weekend. And your Troy walk-ons, Jordan Williams and running back Omari Green. Troy is with 2-1 on the season. They did not play in a 24-19 win over Nebraska. They'll be at the University of Louisiana Monroe this weekend, a 6 p.m. kickoff on Saturday night. Well, there's your former Navarre Raiders. Where are they now? And it's time to move over to our 2018 Gulf South Conference standings, results, and schedule. And sitting on top in the conference play at 1-0 each are Valdosta State, Florida Tech, and West Florida. Valdosta State and Florida Tech both 3-0 on the season. West Florida at 2-1. Yet to play their first conference game, West Georgia, Mississippi College, and Greenville. 3-0, 2-0, and 1-1 respective for those teams. West Alabama fell to Valdosta State. They're 0-1 in conference, 2-1 overall. And still looking for their first wins on the season. Delta State and Shorter are both 0-3 overall, 0-1 in conference. Your results from last weekend, Valdosta State 58 on the road at West Alabama 24. Nice win for Valdosta on the road. Mississippi College at North Greenville was canceled due to Hurricane Florence. West Georgia over Albany State 45-21. West Florida over Shorter 51-7. And Florida Tech over Delta State 30-12. Your games this week coming up on Saturday, all Saturday contests. 2-1 West Alabama at 0-3 Limestone. Florida Tech 3-0 at West Georgia 3-0. North Greenville 1-1 at Delta State 0-3. West Florida 2-1 at Mississippi College 2-0. And Shorter 0-3 at Valdosta State 3-0. So, wow. I'm sorry for the delay we had tonight. We had some streaming issues going live here early on, but we have got through the show, and we have brought you Irish Bill's Twist on Sports. Once again, would like to congratulate our star of the week from Bluntstown High, Kentrell Lawson, and our Super 7 Panhandle Power Rankings from 1 to 7, Navarre, Escambia, Crestview, Pine Forest, Mosley, Gulf Breeze, and Niceville. And I'd like to thank Randy and Honey Smith for allowing me to come into their establishment once again to bring you Irish Bill's Twist on Sports here in year 2 at Culvers, my 5th year overall. And our weekly update on Coach Jay Walls and his record. Overall 166-85, has 17 playoff appearances, 3 state runner-ups, and a 63-15 overall record in his 78 games at Navarre. Got some great games coming up this Friday night, and I'll bring you all the live action this Friday night, 7 p.m. on the pregame, 7:30 on the kickoff from Bennett C. Russell Stadium, where Navarre will look to remain unbeaten, but they'll have a stern test in number 14 at Pine Forest. Pine Forest 3-0, Navarre 4-0. Should be a great contest coming up this Friday night. And I hope you can log on and watch as we bring you all of the live action from Bennett C. Russell Stadium this Friday night. Until then, may the wind ever be at your back. This is Irish Bill signing off. Good night, Navarre.